In 1965, the newly formed nation of Malaysia made a rare decision by voluntarily relinquishing a strategic and significant part of its territory, the 360 square mile island of Singapore. While independence typically brings about jubilation, Singapore's new leader, Lee Kuan Yew, had foreseen the impending economic hardships. Despite his long-standing belief in the Malaysia merger throughout his adult life, Singapore was facing dire circumstances prior to independence. 2/3 of its 1 million inhabitants resided in slums, with many grappling with opium addiction. The highly diverse population was prone to outbreaks of violence, lacking substantial industry, and grappling with high unemployment rates. Furthermore, Singapore's newfound independence meant losing access to natural resources, as the island itself had none. Not only were its larger and more influential neighbors poised to sever trade ties, but they were openly hostile towards Singapore's existence. Compounding the challenges, the withdrawal of British military forces from the island took away a significant portion of the remaining economy. Singapore seemed destined for underdevelopment, violence, and poverty. Despite these grim prospects, Singapore has defied the odds and emerged as the fourth wealthiest nation globally. Its populace is among the most educated, healthy, and productive worldwide. Renowned for its top-notch infrastructure, leadership in high-tech manufacturing, and status as the financial and logistical nucleus of Southeast Asia, Singapore stands as a beacon of success. The transformation of this once improbable, impoverished, and diminutive Asian island nation into one of the premier places to reside raises the question: how did Singapore achieve such remarkable prosperity? The origins of Singapore trace back to the 19th century, when the formidable British East India Company wielded immense power, generating more revenue than its host nation, boasting its own military, and accommodating a fifth of the world's population on its private lands. With profits derived from global shipping and trade, particularly Chinese tea and Indian opium, the company's most lucrative trade route traversed the narrow Malacca Strait. Seeking to safeguard this vital route and establish their own port in the region, the company faced formidable competition from the dominant Dutch naval power. Against the odds, Sir Thomas Raffles, a determined company official, spearheaded the establishment of a port on the sparsely populated island that would later become Singapore. Strategically situated at the tip of the Malayan Peninsula, Singapore emerged as an unparalleled location for commerce. Through astute policies such as declaring Singapore a free port, exempting businesses and port activities from taxes, the island swiftly attracted a multitude of traders from China, Malaya, and India. Despite the lack of robust administrative oversight, Singapore burgeoned into a bustling hub of international trade, attracting a diverse array of ventures, both legitimate and less savory. The opening of the Suez Canal in Egypt further bolstered Singapore's significance, as the new route favored the Malacca Strait, augmenting shipping demands and solidifying the island's status as the preeminent port in the region. In 1867, Singapore attained official crown colony status within the British Empire, marking a pivotal milestone in its burgeoning economic ascendancy. The introduction of rubber trees in Malaya, coupled with soaring global demand for tin abundant in the region, elevated Singapore's stature from a mere stopover to the primary hub for Southeast Asia's wealth. The symbiotic economic relationship with Malaya, where resources were extracted, processed, and shipped globally via Singapore, fueled the island's prosperity. With an expanding British military presence, industrial activities flourished around Singapore's dockyards, catering to military personnel and further enriching the local economy. By 1900, Singapore, once a tiny outpost, burgeoned into a thriving metropolis, home to over 200,000 residents enjoying a higher standard of living compared to their regional counterparts. However, Singapore's trajectory of unhindered growth faced a devastating setback in the 20th century. Despite its geographical distance from Europe, Singapore found itself ensnared in the global conflicts of the era. The Japanese invasion during World War II culminated in the surrender of Singapore in 1942, unleashing a period of unspeakable suffering and destruction. Although liberation arrived in 1945, the island lay in ruins, bearing the scars of war and neglect from a weakened British Empire. The arduous task of rebuilding Singapore was marred by haphazard development, escalating slums, incomplete infrastructure restoration, and persistent social issues such as violence and drug abuse. The lack of cohesive British efforts to integrate the diverse populace further exacerbated societal divisions, leading to escalating tensions and deteriorating living conditions. The path to independence for Singapore materialized as the British Empire's ability and willingness to defend the island waned. Faced with a crippled economy, rising social unrest, and the global trend of decolonization, the notion of independence gained traction among the populace. Lee Kuan Yew, a British-educated lawyer and founder of the People's Action Party, PAP, emerged as the driving force behind Singapore's independence movement. Despite initial resistance from London, shifting public sentiment was in favor of decolonization.